Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do today one video that is not regular for my channel. I'm here to watch the sunrise again, and while I'm watching the sunrise I will do this video. I was hoping to make it in one take so you can see all the mistakes and all the stuff. And the theme of this video, the topic of this video will be how many languages do I speak and on which degree, what level do I have in those languages. I'm a native or I'm advanced, intermediate, whatever, right? And you probably know that I'm a Spanish speaker, but I speak 5 languages actually, and I made videos in 3 of those languages, English, Japanese, and Spanish, but I have 2 extra ones that I don't use really often. And yeah, I want to make a video showing you how will you get, after studying for 10 plus years of those languages. The main point is just show you that even if you are not so clever like me, you can get to speak so many languages if you have the interest for and you put the effort behind it. So let's get started. Eu acho muito gostoso que você tenha interesse em saber as línguas, os idiomas que eu falo, mas muitos desses estão pouco antiquados. Não, antiquados não é a palavra, é mais bem eu não os utilizo muito, então tenho que ter mais tempo para pensar o que quero dizer nessas línguas. Mas quando comecei a falar abertamente outras línguas, algo na minha cabeça começou a cambiar. Empecei a pensar nessas outras línguas, a ter sonos nas línguas distintas que eu falo. Empecei como a razoar também nessas línguas, quando estava pois a fazer a comida ou a refeição, you know? Então, esta palavra, então essas palavras como se diz neste idioma, e pensando nestas coisas empecei a melhorar nos idiomas. Então, você se sabe mais um idioma, é mais fácil aprender outro mais. Essa é a dinâmica que levou-me a falar 5 idiomas. じゃあ皆さん、次は日本語ですね。日本語はですね、一番最後勉強したのやつかもしれないんですけれども、結局動力は一番努力したの言語であり、結局ですね、日本語は超難しいんですよね。発音でもなくてですけれども、漢字や文法とかですね、はい、あとは単語、何かっていうと英語、スペイン語、ポルトガル語とかは、ラティン系の言語なので、そんなにもともとスペイン語を話せましたから、そんなに難しいでもないんですけれども、難しいんですが、結局レベルはですね、日本語はこう、英語はこうって感じですね。はい。英語は800時間でしたら学べるってことですけれども、日本語の場合は2000時間プラス超えるので、そんなに簡単でもないですね。はい。難しいんですよね、日本語実は。And the language you hear me speak the most is English in this channel because it's the most international one, and I want to be able to reach as many people as I can, so that's why I made this channel in English. But I'm starting to think right now, like I'm living in Japan, right? And because I'm living in Japan, I will not be able to speak it so much, Japanese, I mean. So I'm thinking about changing actually the language of my channel and start making those videos in English, sorry, those videos in Japanese. While I work in Europe and I visit so many places, it will be more interesting for people in Japan to follow my channel and to see what Europe is about, because you know, Japanese people, they are super interested in what Europe is about. They have this concept in their heads that Europe is super cool, and pretty much, if you want to have an idea, it's the same we think about Japan. We think anime is super cool, samurai, ninjas, sushi, the food, the people, the scenery, everything is super cool, right? For them, it's the version with Spain and England and Italy and all these places, you know, they have this image of medieval, like the places of freedom, you know. So the word in Japanese is actually akogare. They yearn for it. They think it's super cool. So that's pretty much it. Entonces el siguiente lenguaje va a ser español. Y este es en el que me crié, entonces se supone que es el que estoy más acostumbrado a hablar. Pero hace 3 años exactamente que estoy viviendo en Japón. Entonces posiblemente es el idioma que menos hablo de todos los que hablo. Entonces, pues de vez en cuando no me sale esa palabra en castellano. Por ejemplo, cuando estaba trabajando en el restaurante y venía gente de Latinoamérica o algún español que otro, o gente que habla español simplemente, y tenía que explicarles el menú en español, por ejemplo, para decir gambas o langostinos, pues estaba todo el rato pensando, ¿ahora? ¿Cómo se dice ebi? ¿Cómo se dice shrimp? No tengo ni puñetera idea. No tengo ni pajonera idea de cómo se decía esto en español. ¿Qué ha pasado en mi cabeza? Entonces es una cosa bastante curiosa el hablar tantos idiomas, que llega un momento que dentro de tu cabeza el idioma que está más en la parte frontal, más en la parte de salir, es el que estás utilizando todos los días, y los demás como que se van retrayendo, ¿no? Entonces, como el español es el que menos hablo en este país, pues se puso en la parte de atrás del cerebro, y entonces sacarlo para adelante y utilizarlo es una tarea bastante complicada, bastante ardua, lo cual es sorprendente, ¿no? Porque es el idioma con el que me crié y es el idioma que más he hablado durante todos estos años. Durante 29 años seguidos ha sido el 99% en español y quizá un 1% en inglés hasta entonces. Entonces, pues es para reírse. O seguinte idioma é o galego. Eu son de Galicia, entón este idioma é o meu idioma natal tamén, pero é un idioma que só falaba coa miña avoa e ninguén máis. Entón non estou moi cómodo falando galego, xa que é un idioma, como os decía, que só falaba coa miña avoa. A miña cidade de Vigo non é unha cidade precisamente que se fale moito galego, normalmente se fala castelán, pero é un idioma que o teño na cabeza, é un idioma que está aí, que eu utilizo moi pouco, pero é o meu idioma da miña terra natal. É un idioma, para os que non coñezan o galego, é un idioma que só se fala en Galicia, e antigamente Galicia era parte do reino galaico-portugués, entón ten moitas similitudes co portugués. Digamos que foron un reino único, Portugal e Galicia, durante moitos séculos, entón escindíronse, pasou a ser parte da coroa castelá, e o castelán pasou a ser a lingua de Galiza. Sen embargo, durante a ditadura de Franco é cando o galego pasou a ser un idioma de vergoña, un idioma que se o falabas eras xente do pobo, xente sen estudos, entón pasou a ser un estigma esta lingua. Cada vez menos xente a utilizaba, e pasou tamén un pouco na cabeza dos galegofalantes, avós e pais nais, dicindo aos seus descendentes, aos seus fillos, que aprenderan castelán, que era o útil, que lles iba a conseguir empleo, e que o galego estaba moi ben para falar con eles, pero que o galego era un idioma de paletos, non? Entón, é unha lingua que é moi bonita, o oído é super armónica, mas non é unha lingua que se utilice moito, al menos no meu entorno. Entón, pois non estou super cómoda a falar en galego, mais é unha lingua que me gustaría utilizar moito máis, e que entendo, non é que entenda, é que creo que é unha lingua das 5 linguas que falo, probablemente a lingua número 2 en preciosidade do tono, en preciosidade da escoita, de como soa. A primeira sería japonés, entendo. Entón, é unha pena que non fale máis galego normalmente, pero agora que vou regresar a España, vou ter moitas máis oportunidades de falar galego, entendo. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today on the languages. To give you in perspective, I started studying English in high school, but I was always getting red marks. I was not able to pass the test because the way they teach you in school is not the most, how do you call it, like a balanced one. Like, it was not for me. Pretty much, that's not the way you learn languages, memorizing pattern of words, grammar and stuff. You pretty much have to expose yourself to the language, immersion, and afterwards, my approach is just consume a lot of native media, like watching Netflix, movies, YouTube and stuff. Things on topics that I like very much, and because I like it and I want to understand it, is the way I improve in the language. It takes a lot of time. It's not the most, how do you call, the better approach, I think, but it's the only thing that works for me because I'm not that clever. So I have to spend a lot of time consuming this media with subtitles. Subtitles in the language the audio is in the language that I want, and the subtitles are as well in the language I want. I never do translations. Not in my head. When I'm speaking the language, I'm not thinking like, how do you say this in Spanish or that in Japanese. I'm always like focusing just on get the native flow. I don't know how do you call it, but I never translate in my head, or I never think like, how is this said in that language because I know in this language and the translation is that. No. I'm always like changing gears. It's like changing gears, very much. And I started studying English in high school. I was native already in Galician language and Spanish. So yeah, English. And when I was 16, I started watching anime, and pretty much until now, all the time watching anime. Never studied Japanese, but because I was consuming so much, during these years, yeah, I became like knowing, that word is that, they use this sentence in this situation every time, and you start making connections in your mind. And when I was, 3 years ago, I started studying Japanese every day. Like in the beginning, it was like between 12 and 14 hours for maybe 2 months, and then afterwards 10 hours or a little bit less. In my holidays, it was like 14 hours. So if you make like the media, you get pretty much 9-8 hours every day of full Japanese studying, plus the immersion of being in the country. So in 3 years, I became this fluent in Japanese, plus the 10 plus years of watching anime, if you count that. And Portuguese, actually, because I have this base, right? Spanish and the Galician language, it was not that hard to study, but I'm not that fluent, I'm like a intermediate maybe level. I don't really know. I never took a test or whatever, but I'm guessing I'm intermediate to an intermediate and advanced level. The only thing, I can read books like novels in Portuguese with no problems. Like I'm reading right now Da Vinci's Code in Portuguese, and no problem whatsoever. The only problem is speaking it, because the same, I've been 3 years straight in Japan. I don't have so many people to speak Portuguese too. So I started Portuguese 2 years ago maybe, and I would love to say that I was consistency, but no, not really. I was consistent for maybe 4 to 5 months with Duolingo. And after that, it's been like trying to be consistent from time to time, like 1 month over here, and then half a year doing nothing, and then 1 month, and yeah, that's the language journey. Do always like struggle. And recently I started like what I said, reading novels and watching Netflix shows in Portuguese, because I was so focused in Japanese these 3 years, right? And in my spare time I was just doing a little bit of Portuguese pretty much. But right now I kind of finished my Japanese because I have the Nihongo no Rikushiken, the GLPT N2, and I don't have a so yeah, I'm not in a hurry to get the GLPT N1, the Nihongo no Rikushiken N1. So yeah, I have some spare times to work on my other language, so I'm watching more and more Portuguese these days. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much my journey. So from the beginning I was able to speak 2 languages. That's a really nice start point. Then afterwards I began to hate English in high school, but English is needed for games and I don't know, internet in general, and I love so much games and internet. So there was no other way around. In 10 years, if you are exposed every freaking day to English, you end up learning it. Japanese, because I love so much anime and the culture, and yeah, there was actually no other way around but to learn it. And lastly, Portuguese, because it's kind of the link language between Spanish and Galician language, so it was kind of easy. I'm not comfortable yet in the level I am, and I want to improve it to an advanced to native level, but yeah, I will work on it. And my next languages I want to learn, that's the problem, you know? When you get to this point, you speak 5 languages, you want to speak 10 languages, and when you get to 10 languages, you want to speak 20 languages. So I would really love to learn French, but it's a language I don't have so much exposition anyway, and I love the sound, but the pronunciation and the correlationship with the written language is so different that I don't know if I want to spend all that time working on that language. In my mind, it will be like if you want to learn Italian, it will take you only 3 to 6 months to learn Italian to an intermediate level, but in the case of French, it will take you probably 1 year. So in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I should learn Italian first, right? So maybe Italian, French, one of those. And I actually feel like attracted towards Russian and Arabic. Yeah, they sound so nice, and the written system is just so beautiful. And Korean as well seems like really easy, since I know Japanese already. But yeah, I will be stopping the Asian language for a while, and I will just focus on the Latin ones that takes like way less time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. How did you think about the languages I speak? How many languages do you speak? Do you want to learn another language? And which one is that? Do you find really hard? Do you think that we polyglots are special in some way? I can tell you straight away that I'm not that clever, so yeah, we are not special. So if you want to learn about my method or what I did in like more detail, just let me know in the comments below. Hit subscribe, like, hit the bell for notifications, and see you next time. Bye bye. Yeah, I'm getting with my setting. I will drink some tea apple tea this time, some breakfast, orange this time, 2 of them, something to sit on, and my book. And that's how we spend these mornings of holidays before heading to Spain.